Those are, okay, so, but what you're saying, if you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to be difficult. You're saying that those are your starting positions. Those are the things that you accept.
I'm saying they can be.
On faith.
No.
Oh, you have a rationale for them.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
You already have. Life is generally preferable to death because we're talking about our life, and death is generally not in the interest of the living. It can be an exception. This is the point that I was getting to. So you could start with those foundations. You could start with any three that you found. You could pick three arbitrary foundations. And the one aspect that makes a secular moral system distinct from religious pronouncements and divine command theory and those sorts of things is that the secular moral system has as its goal the object of getting better at getting better, which means if you find out that one of your foundations is wrong or in conflict with something else, you can now change that. You could start with death is preferable to life, and then when you find out that it's not working that well, you change that foundation. I think that these foundations, based on the evidence of how people tend to live their lives and what they care about, are a good set of three. There could be better ones that somebody come up with. I'm open to revision on any of these at any time. But to say that I'm not skeptical about them is exactly the opposite of what I am. Because skepticism is about, I'm not going to accept something as true without good reason, and it's about being open to revision should there be evidence. If you and I agree that we care about a good life isn't very well defined. And we may have different ideas about what good life is. But if we could actually just sit here and take notes, I think that we'd come across maybe a handful of things that we would agree would make for a good life. If we take those and compare them to the foundations of a secular moral system like what I'm describing, we can determine non-subjectively whether or not the list we've come up with are consistently approachable from that foundation. And we can do that for religious morality as well. The analogy that I've used in the past is, for example, a game of chess. There's nothing about the universe that requires that we care about chess or care about the rules of chess. The rules of chess are arbitrary. Somebody made them up. We changed them. We added en passant. We added castling. We added things like that. We have the rules of chess. We don't always know what the best move is. But if the goal of the game is to win, or at a minimum, not lose, then we can analyze the moves with respect to the consequences and with respect to the goal of winning and determine which moves are better and which moves are worse. That is what a secular moral system does because it allows revision, whereas religious systems don't allow for revision. There's not a Bible 3.0. There's not a Quran 2.0. There's no new revelation from God to say, hey, I said all this stuff about slavery, now I'm opposed to it. Or, hey, I was really down on homosexuals, but now I'm okay with it. Hey, when I said that here's what caused diseases, or that you were unclean and shouldn't enter the temple, all those things are actually wrong. The germ theory of disease is right. And none of that's come out.
Well, there is kind of a Bible 2.0. That was the New Testament, right?
Well,
so that's not exactly right.
That is the update for the Christians, except that it's worse than the first one.
Well, that's not exactly the point. The point is there was an update. So,
well,
okay,
the update, it's not like Jesus came along and said, hey, in Exodus 21, where I was saying you could have slaves and beat them, we got that wrong, or you got that wrong. That correction's never given. That thing about, in Leviticus where we point out that women are worth 2/3 of that of a man, we got that wrong. None of that is corrected. In fact, the reason I say it got worse, although I didn't know we were going to go down the biblical route tonight, is that if you look at Jewish tradition, when you're dead, you sleep with your fathers. There's no real clear notion of an afterlife. And then with the introduction of the New Testament, what you get is infinite torture and punishment for finite crimes, which is immoral.
All right, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole at the moment, although I'd be perfectly happy to do it.